Okay, this is going to be the most controversial part of this video. This is not a problem that I think that you're going to find on most other saws. If you can't pull over a saw due to your shoulder, if you notice this has one bar stud and this has two. Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. Today I'm going to go ahead and explain why I believe special features and overly complex design is just a bad idea. And I'm going to also share that if you think that you need these things, what the solution might be for you. I am going to be sensitive to physical needs because I do know that those things exist. However, much of the problems that you're going to see here are all related to trying to make a chainsaw more easy to operate. I've been working on these two MS250s. One's an MS250 and one is an MS250C. It's really cool to have these two saws on the bench because they're essentially the same saw, but one is the C model, which my understanding is stands for comfort. I'm going to show you why I think that those things do a disservice for the average chainsaw user. And also, I'm going to show you a major problem with the Stihl gas caps that I didn't know existed until just now. The C model, which is this saw right here, is the comfort saw. And that includes three differences from what I can tell. It has the easy start spring assisted pull start on it. You'll notice here the size difference. There's a material difference and a size difference. Because of that, you also have a difference on the flywheels. This is a standard MS250 and this has some additional paws in here. Kind of interesting. One more thing that the C model has that the standard saw doesn't is, if you notice, this has one bar stud and this has two. This is your standard clutch cover, and here is your comfort model clutch cover. I know that this might be intimidating to some people, but let's talk about this. This is the Toolless design that Stihl came out with. In my opinion, I do not think that there is a good reason for this. And also, here's the negative to it. Besides weight, you have this bit that you have to mount to the bar here. What this promotes is a lack of maintenance on the chainsaw user's part. I want you to see what has happened to this bar here. Because this is mounted, not permanently, but it is mounted to the bar, what's happened is this bar has essentially not really ever been flipped. When a user is changing their chain, they may accidentally flip the bar, or if they're aware of it, they would know to flip their bar. This right here is just one more step of why a user may not do it. So this bar is really in bad shape. What I'm going to do is flip it, and I bet you this user can use this for the time being and not really ever have an issue with it. That's just one more step. Actually, let me try it real quick. Use a standard chainsaw tool, scrunch. I've never seen one of these, so let's see how bad it is or how easy it is. Okay, so it mounts to these extra holes in the tail of the bar here. Let's see here. Is there any more than that? Looks like there's just one piece. If I want the bar to be like this, we've got to flip it over this way. Additional complexities that just simply aren't needed in my opinion. So this works off of some sort of cam motion. When this gets spun, it adjusts the wheel. It's ingenious, but again, it's not necessary. You have extra parts, things to lose, and guess what? More stuff for Stihl to sell you. Just my thoughts. Not only that, there is a weight penalty. Let's actually check. We're not going to weigh this little guy because, I mean, this is marginal, but let's check the covers versus each other, and let's check the recoil start. Hang tight. We do have a solution for those of you that are worried about how hard it is for a saw to start. Let's compare in pounds and ounces a standard clutch cover. Actually, you know what? In all fairness, you do need the studs. This one is all complete. So you've got 5.1 ounces. Let's try that again. 5.1 ounces. Let's check this one here. Oh, it's actually not that much more weight, but it certainly is more complex because, you know, it also does require this part. I bet you it's like a ½ ounce, but that's not a real big deal. Let's check the standard MS250 recoil start. 7.6 ounces. 1 pound, 1 ounce. That's significant. This thing's twice as heavy. Not to mention this bit, the additional pawls in the saw. And there is also one more thing that comes on the C that I think is really unnecessary. And it's not common on a Stihl saw. It's actually the first one I've seen besides the 500i. Let's compare the saw's weights here real quick. Let's see if there's any difference. This is the standard MS250. 8 pounds, 11 ounces. I don't know if there's fuel in them, guys. 8 pounds, 14 ounces. This is the C model. It might have fuel, it might have bar oil. That might be the difference. This is an other abnormal design for a Stihl MS250. Most of these saws do not have a purge bulb. They've taken a 250 and then added an additional purge. I assume that's for easy starting. You can see the original design right here, the more simple design. I find that this is kind of in the way to pull this off. You really don't want to just yank on these. You want to kind of rotate them. It's hard to get your fingers in there with this right here. Again, additional parts just making this saw more complex. Now, many of you know that I have 5 Series Huskies, and those saws do have primer bulbs, okay, or purge bulbs, whatever you want to call them. Regardless of what they are an additional failure point. It is nice when a saw just functions well, or a piece of 2-stroke equipment functions well enough that you don't need to prime it. I've heard that these MS250s can be hard to start, so maybe this is what Stihl did to make this saw more usable. We're going to talk about another flaw that all Stihl chainsaws, for the most part, have. Any of them with these flip caps, this is not something that I was aware of. This is something that can actually stop you from cutting for the day. This is not a problem that I think that you're going to find on most other saws, and it has everything to do with the Stihl design. Many people do not like the quarter turn caps. I find that they're annoying myself. They certainly do work, but they have a tendency to leak a little bit. In fact, Stihl has a recall on those caps, so you might want to check on that. Alright, so this is what my experience was. This saw came in, and this was actually broken off of it. And what had happened is, this was sitting in here like this. You had a spring in here, and you had this little cover. It was being held on by like a little plastic bit. And what happened is, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to see if I can utilize this cap for testing purposes. And what I did is I grabbed it with a plier, because there was no other way to take this off otherwise. I grabbed it with a plier. This thing exploded. Know what this means is, out in the field, if you have a cap failure, and I think it's unnecessarily so, you're done. You're absolutely done. I'm going to show you a different style of cap that is certainly, I think, just as easy to use, and I think it's a little less likely to completely bust like this. Let's take a look at it. Now, this is not me just hating on Stihl saws, everybody. That's not what this is. Look at Husqvarna's flip cap. What's nice about them is they're not quarter turn, okay? So what you've got is, this just screws nicely into the case. You'll notice I have to unscrew it a couple times. You got a nice O-ring on here. But check this out. If you were to break off this little flap, I have a feeling that it would just break the ears off. And guess what? You still have a cap. There is a little slot here. So if need be, out in the field, you can use a scrunch. Yes, you should have a scrunch with you at all times. But guess what? You can take this cap on and off should you have a nice flip cap failure. I call that a superior design. Then you do have Echo's way of doing it. This is like the MS250. I think this is a great way of doing it. It's very simple. This one just takes a scrunch to loosen up if it's too tight to do with your fingers. You know, this can break. I've had these kinds break. Another method that Echo employs is this right here. You can take off the caps with this, but see, this is too tight for me. It's one of two ways of doing it. I'll show you the way that Echo intends you to do it, and I'll show you the way that I sometimes do it. You can use the handle. This is what this is designed for. You can pop that off, okay? Or I oftentimes out in the field will just take a scrunch and just pop it like that. Same for the rear fuel tank. That's what I'll do, okay? Or you can do it with your fingers sometimes. This is a simple design. I think it's very unlikely to break. I do think that the Husqvarna method is the best. Echo does have its own flip caps. I'll show you those too. Let's check out how they've chosen to do this. It's on my battery powered saw. So you can try to just do it that way, or you can flip this right here and then you have a little bit more leverage. Okay? Again, if you break this off, you still have a way to get this off. It'd be kind of hard on this, honestly. Yeah, you could use your scrunch, but that Stihl breaking the flip cap, you're done using that saw for the day. Okay, this is going to be the most controversial part of this video, but hear me out. I don't think you should buy this saw. There is a better saw for you if you need this right here. I'm going to show you what it is right now. Again, some of y'all are going to hate this, but hear me out. I'll share my thought process. If you think you need this saw, you need this saw right here. This is what you need. It's a battery. You don't have to pull start it. If your shoulder is so bad that you cannot pull over an MS250, these saws will kill an MS250. I'm not talking about this saw in particular, but other battery powered saws exist, and just save yourself some time and effort. If you can't pull over a saw due to your shoulder or another physical limitation, this is what you need right here. Let me show you how easy it is to work. That's it. Doesn't work with the chain brake on. And you can just simply go ahead and power it off. I was holding up the wrong saw because this is actually the C model right here. But again, you get the point. If you have a physical limitation, it might be something to consider a battery powered saw for. I know. I've heard it a million times. You can't go out and cut all day with a battery saw. How many batteries do you need? Well, my feeling is if you have a physical limitation and you need to buy the C model of this MS250, the likelihood of you going out and cutting all day long is slim. Secondarily, most people don't need a chainsaw to cut all day. Again, a battery saw makes perfect sense for that. Guys, I'm not trying to push battery, but I'm talking about simplicity versus complexity. I believe that this is the saw that proves to me why battery saws exist. Why take an MS250, and otherwise, I think it's kind of expensive, really. Why take an MS250 and add on more stuff that probably adds another $100 to it just to make it a little bit easier to use and really teaches you bad chainsaw maintenance habits? That's just my 2 cents. I hope that you like this video. Again, this is not an agenda being shared for why battery saws are superior. I think this is just showing the market of why battery saws exist. They're just easier for the average user. Stihl, Echo, Husqvarna, Ego, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Rigid, they all make battery powered saws nowadays, so explore your options. I actually do look forward to getting my hands on some more battery powered saws in the future because actually my wife has expressed interest in them, and as you know, we're cutting more and more firewood. My wife wants to cut. She don't care about two-stroke engines, everybody. She wants to cut the wood, to produce the firewood, to sell and make money. That's what she wants. So she's not excited about a saw that makes your ears ring like I am. I love my 562. It makes your ears ring. But I wear ear protection, right? If you're interested in battery-powered outdoor power equipment, make sure you check out my channel sponsor, sawsuppliers.com. We have a discount code OKI10, good for outdoor power equipment. You get 10% off. They already have a better price than you're likely to find anywhere else. And make sure you use my links down below. And again, don't forget that OKI10 discount. That is awesome, guys. You can get phenomenal two-stroke equipment and battery-powered equipment, whether it be blowers, trimmers, chainsaws, whatever. They're a great price on there. Make sure you visit those links. Also, do not forget them for the consumables like chains, bars, oils. They even have arborist equipment now, guys. Ropes, helmets, chain grinders, all sorts of stuff. More's coming on there every week, it seems. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Also, the comment section is super beneficial. I always learn a lot from you, so please, if you have anything to share, I'd love to meet you down there. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.